Okay.
Okay, so now the session is started recording. Diana, you can continue.
Okay, I think
I will mute everyone, but I think I will allow you to unmute yourself so that we can continue as I admit people.
All right. Engineer Anthony was the one who was going on, was the one who was talking, right?
he was supposed to
conclude.
Finish. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can also like unmute him as we, and mute everyone else.
I can unmute everyone?
No, you can mute everyone else and then maybe leave like me, Engineer Eric and Engineer Anthony as we continue.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So Engineer Anthony Makoha, you can continue.
All right, I think, thank you, Mr. President, Engineer Matalanga. I think probably I'll just do a recap, probably finish in around 5 minutes for the interest of time. So in a nutshell, professional registration is very crucial for one to really realize his or her full potential as an engineer. To be able to reach the apex in terms of engineering, professional registration is indispensable, because being a professional engineer, you set recognized standard, and ethics for engineers has already been set. And it also gives you an opportunity as an engineer to demonstrate your qualification and competency. And they see people will look after quality. You see, one cannot just purport and say, I'm an engineer. You see, so I can do this, I can do that. That cannot happen, especially with the world, the way we are going. You must demonstrate that you have the necessary competencies, that one, you have the desired level of experience, maturity of judgment, and professional competence. Because as a professional engineer, you bear the professional responsibility. So I would encourage us to, for the engineers who yearn to get registered, it is possible. And the way the board is right now, the setup, of course, the board is the regulator, but we are moving from just being a regulator to being a partner, and more so a facilitator. So we are there to facilitate and to enable you get registered so that you can practice as an engineer. As the president had said in his comments, we really need engineers for achievement of Big 40 and Vision 2030. We need adequate number of engineers. So going forth, it is possible to get registered as an engineer. And as I said, the board will facilitate. So as a board, we want to wish you all the best as you prepare for registration. And the sooner you do it, the better. The good news is we have a very good team, a very good team of the board members who will be ready to help you. So we look forward to receiving your applications and wish you all the very best in your journey. Thank you so much. It's all right. I'm through.
So Diana.
Hello, Mr. President.
Yes, it is Diana. Diana, are you there?
Diana.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Thank you. So I would welcome Engineer Eric to welcome the next guest.
Thank you. Now we'll move to engineer. According to the program is Juliet Kimei. So the host, could you please unmute Juliet?
What name is she using? I mean, handle, because I'm not seeing Juliet Kimei here.
Juliet is there.
Oh, you can see Juliet? No,
She
what
can
I'm saying.
unmute herself.
She has admitted herself.
Good afternoon, everyone.
She's unmuted, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. If Juliet is there, she can continue, please.
Yes, Juliet, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Juliet Kimei. I am a corporate member in the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, and I wanted to share my journey to becoming a professional engineer. I would like to start first with my background, which started when I joined the University of Nairobi, and I graduated with a degree in electrical and electronics engineering in the year 2010. Of course, I did a job search, and so far I've worked for 3 companies, that is Polyphase Systems Limited, Greco International Power Projects, and currently I'm working for Kenya Power and Lighting Company as a business development engineer. I have worked in design, operations and maintenance, project management, and also I did 2 years training, 1 year at Greco International Power Projects, and 1 year at Kenya Power. So from that, you can see I had met all the requirements to register as a professional engineer. And in December 2018, Engineer Eric Ohaga shared a journey to becoming a professional engineer in 243 days. And my journey to become started there. I would like to share you how you can do that in 243 days. I can share my screen. Oh, the host has disabled.
No, we are trying to avoid we're
Just
trying to
talk.
avoid people sharing their screens. So if I said only the host can share the screen, then I don't know how to allow you only to share your screen.
Engineer.
Yes, no, no, yes, yes.
Can
yes.
can you just if you make her a host, she can share a screen, but only her. Now.
Yeah.
But if I make her the host, then I have to stop this admission of people. There are 17 people in the waiting room at the moment.
No. What you do, you just make her and then you reclaim it.
Oh, as she's sharing it, yeah?
Yeah, you can just make her and then you reclaim it back.
Okay, fine. Let me try and do in security. No, sorry, I go, okay. Juliet, make host. Okay, Juliet, now you can share?
Yes.
You can now share?
Can you just start sharing?
Can you see the screen?
We are seeing you.
Okay. You're seeing me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Just a second.
And other participants of the meeting that are not really presenting anything, like Gideon, kindly turn off your video so that we only have one person. Such kind of videos are also making us vulnerable at some point.
Is that okay?
Yes. Now, engineer, down there, you can reclaim. You can
share
reclaim
screen
your,
again. Host
no, you can
screen sharing.
Engineer, on the participant, if you open the participant list, you can see the way it's invite, mute. There is a place written there, reclaim.
Invite new. Yeah, invite. I can see here invite.
You can reclaim the host status.
I'm not seeing it quickly. Dollar. I can
just highlight Engineer Juliet again.
Okay.
You should be able to see an icon there for you to remove it, to remove her from being a host.
Okay, I'm there, but chat pin, I'm seeing chat and pin video.
No. All right. Can you highlight me? Highlight me to be the host then.
Okay, fine.
Maybe Madam Linda can share with me the name of the list on WhatsApp, so that if you're having trouble.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I can ask and send it to you, or I can even send it to you also on WhatsApp. But here now, I cannot move from Juliet Kimei. When I highlight your name.
Engineer, just a minute. When you open the participant list, right now the whole screen is on Juliet. It's showing what Juliet has.
Yes, yes,
sharing.
yes.
Now, when you open the participant list, there is
Yes.
there's a pop-up icon that is coming out with the participant list, right?
Yes.
And you should be able to see reclaim host.
I'm only seeing find participant, invite and mute me.
All right, Madam Linda, can you make engineer host again, because you can do it from your side?
It is Juliet who can.
No, Juliet.
No, yeah, it is here, Juliet. Screen sharing.
But you can reclaim. I don't know why you're not seeing the reclaim button. Engineer Kemei, can you make engineer back just the username?
What you can do, Juliet, let her finish her presentation, then she makes you the host, Ndolo.
She can finish her presentation, but you need to add members back to the list because people are in your waiting room. Yeah.
No, I understand.
So what Madam Linda, just highlight engineer's username.
The username is the IEK, the Institution of Engineers.
Just a second.
If you can't see it, you can find it. You can just write there, find a participant. Just write institution. You'll be able to see it. You highlight it and then make him host again.
I'm not seeing anything like find.
Find
up there,
participant.
The top there.
Ah, you are bombed again.
Again? No, I don't think.
You are bombed. That is you?
That is me.
All right. I was seeing something. Oh, just a minute. Just a minute.
I'll find her slide, Ndolo. It's okay.
Yeah, it's her slide, but I'm seeing something here. Just a minute.
Is it the greenish thing that you're seeing?
No. I'm seeing something else. Just a minute. Let me block. Ah, done. Okay.
Okay, but who is that so that I can throw him out?
This is not from your side.
Okay.
No, you can make engineer host back, please.
How?
When you look there is
this thing.
The username, you can see the users, the participants, right?
Click on the participant list.
Yeah, click on the participant list.
Yes.
You are there. Then you can now get institutions of engineers of Kenya. You see it?
You can just type it there on the find, the institution.
Find, yes. Institution?
The institution, like when you type the institution, it should bring you someone.
It's showing there on the drop down.
It should be able to show on the drop down. Actually, it should be able. Engineer Matalanga should be able to reclaim it.
Yes. I'm in the institution.
Yeah, make him host.
Yeah. So now there are two buttons appearing on your screen. There's one for more. Highlight the more button.
Yes.
And then you can see where it's written make host.
Make host, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I've done that.
Thank you. Thank you. Now your screen should continue. You can continue sharing your screen without a problem.
Is that okay now?
Yes.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You can continue.
Yes, so I can continue. So you can see from the screen that you can become a professional engineer in 243 days if you have the requisites. You worked for 3 years and all that. So for 7 days, you should be able to change from maybe student engineer to graduate engineer with EBK and IK. You are supposed to download the forms again in about 7 days so that you can change from graduate engineer to professional engineer. The forms are approved by 4 PEs in about 7 days. You submit your duly forms to EBK or IK. It should take about 7 days. And they should get back to you within 30 days period. Then now you can start preparing your training and experience reports and projects reports within 30 days and submit it to your supervisor, preliminary report within 30 days. Your supervisor can review your report within 7 days, and then the GE, the graduate engineer, incorporates the supervisor's comments, and then And when you have changed them, now you prepare this and submit the final reports. And if they are okay, then you can now submit them to the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, and they're supposed to call you within about 20 days, as you can see from the screen. And that is how the journey of becoming a professional engineer becomes. And so mine, since I got this guideline in December 2018 with the festivities, I decided to start mine in January 2019. I made my applications and paid the requisite fees. And by March, I received a letter from the Institution of Engineers of Kenya to submit my training and experience reports and the project report. And that is when I started preparing my documentation for submission. I had done various designs, having worked in the design section, including the design of low voltage networks, medium voltage networks, reinforcement schemes, and I chose one of the schemes as my project and did my training and experience reports, and with the project report as well. In our region, we had monthly mentorship sessions, and that included the presentation of the projects, of the reports, my fellow colleagues and supervisors, and doing mock interviews in preparation for the interview. I also had sessions with my supervisor on changes to be made. And in August 2019, I had completed my reports and submitted to the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, and was called for a discussion in September 2019. I went for the discussion, I made my changes, and in early October, I was already called, I already submitted also the documents back to the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. And in the same month, I was also called back for an interview, which I was successful. So I believe that is my journey to become a professional engineer that started in 2019. And by October, I was successful as a corporate member of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. Thank you so much.
Back to you, Ndolo.
Engineer Juliet, can you please stop sharing because I'm not hosting for now?
Yes, I've done that.
Right. Now, going by the program, we are supposed to going by the program. This is the program that we had. Just a minute, I can't see it fully. I'm not going to share anything on the screen. Maybe now the program is clear. After Madam Engineer Juliet comes in, and now we are supposed to have Engineer Ohaga, if I'm not wrong, according to the schedule. And because for the purposes of time, I will request Engineer Ohaga to be a bit precise and faster so that we don't kill other presenters' time.
Thank you, Ndolo. I would request to be made a host so that I can share. I don't know that it is be okay for me to share, because this is a format and the requirement, and we require that our graduate engineers are able to see what they are supposed to use for their registration.
Yes, Eric, I will make you a host, and then after you share, you make me back the host so I can continue. There are now 12 people in the waiting room. I'm still trying to figure out. So which one? You seem to have two handles. Which one?
Eric Ohaga.
Oh, this one. Okay, fine. So Ndolo, what I'm seeing here when I highlight Eric's name, it's I can, oh yeah, make host. Okay, fine. Eric, you are now host.
I'm not able to. I think you chose the wrong one.
The one you highlighted. So you need to go back to the other one and make yourself the host. The one with your photograph and the name Eric Ohaga below it.
Otula, can you turn off your video or your mic?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Engineer Ohaga, can you see it?
Yes, I'm there.
All right.
There we are.
All right. Just take your time. You have roughly 30 minutes.
So I should make him back the host?
Yeah, you can make him back. You can take him back so that he adds the members.
Institution.
And concerning tomorrow's webinar, I will make sure that we have the passwords later on. We have roughly 200 registered members for the webinar of tomorrow. Those who registered are the only people who will be allowed in the meeting.
There are now 58 people participating in this webinar, but there are 12 in the waiting room. So if I manage, we shall be 80. Sorry, 70. But some of them...
Now institution.
Yes, the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, yes.
Oh my goodness. What's happening?
Can't find it. Institution of Engineers of Kenya is not coming out.
It's actually just, it should be below your name right now. You just need to look for it down there. If you can type the find a participant, you'll be able to see it.
Okay. Make host. Are you there?
Yeah, he's taken back. All right, Engineer Matanga, I think you can continue. Let Engineer Ohaga now present.
Okay, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I want to take you through the demystification of transition from graduate engineers to professional engineers. And our aim as an AK is to make sure that we continuously engage with our graduate engineers so that we can realize our goal of becoming a professional engineer. And the statistics as we talk about today, we have over 13,000 graduate engineers, and we need to convert this number to become professional engineers. You can see we only have 1924 professional and 408 consulting engineers. From IK point of view, we have civil leading with 3,000 and agricultural engineers with 316. In terms of gender, we have 6,000 male and 436 female. So in far as the professional review format are concerned, we shall start with the training and experience report. And we have made things very easy for our members. We have developed a template that we are going to use for electrical and electronics engineers and telecommunication engineers. All you require to do is to take this particular template and use it. All you require is just to change your name and put your EBK number and the IEK number as stated on that particular title page. The second page is on declaration and certification. That also has been made easier for you, is just to put your name and your EBK number. And your supervisor will certify that by putting his name and his EBK number and IEK number. Table number 1, this is where the structure starts, and we are saying we have 5 columns. The first column is on the period. The second column is the institution. The third column is the work done, or the description of the work done. The fourth column is your supervisor's stroke, his position. And then the last column is on the duration in months. And this one starts from the university. Your time at the university from the time you joined until the time you left. You describe the name of your university, the work you did, and in this case is the undergraduate degree that you undertook, and then the chairman of the department, and then the number of months that you took at the university. We also know that during the university period, you undertake certain attachments, industrial attachments, and you have to indicate the industrial attachment under company XX and company XX as you went into them. And again, the supervisors during those attachments should be illustrated in column number 4. Then after graduation, many of us are normally lucky to get the job. Others spend some time searching for that job. And we require that you account for every time, for every month after graduation. There should not be any gap from graduation. So you spend some time during looking for the job, you need to state that time that you spent job seeking. Thereafter, you then move to your first job, indicate the time, the institution, the work done on the first job, the supervisor in the first job, and the duration taken. Then the second job, like that until the date that we are talking about, which is to date. So that is the format. It has only 5 columns. The first one is the period. The second one is the institution. The third one is the description of the work, the supervisor, and the duration. So that is the format for table number 1, which is a summary of training and experience. Then you move to the summary of the time spent. It has 2 columns, the type of the work and the times in period. And the first one is the university period, 60 months if you took 5 years. If you took 7 years, it will be that times 5. On the job training, we are saying it must be more than 24 months. So an engineer must demonstrate that he has trained for more than 24 months. You have to demonstrate that you have spent some time in design, and you are saying at least 6 months in design, operations and maintenance, and then last but not least is on the contract management, which you're also saying should be at least 6 months. The time period, the total time period here at table number 1.1 should be the same as the time period on table number 1.0 up there. Then these are some of the details of the 2.0 is now the detailed report. The summary on table number 1.0, you now come and give the detailed description of what is being summarized under table number 1.0. And there you give the period of training, the supervisors and his grade, and you give a detailed description of the training and experience report. And here they want to see your specific role. You have to avoid things to do with participation or I was involved in. The examiners would want to see specific role of the candidate. And therefore you need to give your specific participation in that kind of role. There should be no gap in your training from the university to date. And therefore you need to account for every week, for every month. If you have some challenges, you have to illustrate how you mitigated those particular challenges. The size and the cost of the projects can also be illustrated. The lessons learned from those challenges and how you went about them. And if there are any other short trainings that you undertook, like 2 days training, 3 days training, or a week training, you have to illustrate and give the periods, the institution that offered them, and the facilitator. And you are saying the training and experience report should be between 1,500 and 2,000 words. This is just a guide. If you have more information that you feel is important for us, you should not fear to give that particular detailed description. But the size should be between 1,500 to 2,000. You're saying font style should be Times Roman, the font size should be 12, and the work should be justified. It should be in 1.5 spacing, and the practical experience should be at least 24 months. And the candidate is expected to produce 4 spiral bound copies. 1 will be for the candidate, and the 3 will be for the examiners during the interview. The appendixes is required. You need to provide those copies of the certificates that you've stated in the training and experience report. We should also want to see some photos in color. That would be good for the examiners to be able to appreciate that you really participated in that particular job that you are presenting, and the schemes. Then let's move to the project report. The project report has the following title: the project report on, then you give your title report, your title for the project, submitted to the Institution of Engineers of Kenya in partial fulfillment of requirement to transfer of class from corporate to corporate member. And then you put your name and your EBK and IEK number. The declaration form is also given here. All you require is just your name again and your IEK number and signing, the same to the certification by your supervisor. And then the third page, which is the Roman page, is a table of contents, the list of figures, the list of tables, abbreviation, and the list of the abbreviation in alphabetical order. Then we move to chapter number 1, which is 1.0. And this one gives the introduction of the project report. We are saying you should give us a brief discussion of your project report. And this one should be about half a page, just giving the background, where the problem is, how you went about solving that problem, and the benefits that accrue out of that particular project. That should be covered within a half a page. Then chapter number 2 is 2.0, talking about the project the problem statement. This is the problem that the engineer is trying to sort out. And this is a problem that now you are giving solutions to. And you are saying this problem statement should be very precise and concise in about 1 sentence or 2 at the maximum. And this problem statement should align itself to the title. It should be able to speak to the title, because a problem is being sorted out by offering solution, which would then go to the title. So there should be a linkage between the problem statement and the title of your project. And then 3.0 is the objective of the project. You just give specific objectives of what you want to achieve when you're performing this particular project. We move to 4.0, which is possible solutions. An engineer is expected to give at least 2 solutions, so that the client can then choose which is the best solutions depending on the cost of that particular project. So an engineer will provide at least 2 feasible solutions, give a technical justification and an economical analysis. So the client will only look at the economics and make a decision out of at least those 2 positions that will solutions that will have been provided by the candidate. So you are expected to give at least 2 solutions or alternative solutions to the problem that you are trying to solve as an engineer. Then number 5 is the preferred solution. How do you select your preferred solution? Now, based on your technical justification and the economic justification, you will be able to select the best solution out of those given alternative solutions. And this basically will be based on the cost element. Then you move to 6.0, which is the analysis of the current situation. Engineers should be able to give a background of what the problem is like on the ground as we stand right now, so that the examiners are able to pick the problems and be able to see the magnitude of the problem on the ground that the engineer is trying to sort out. So this one should be about 1 page, and that the candidate gives the description of that problem at hand. Then we move to 7.0. This is the design of the preferred solution. Now, after analysis of those preferred solution and you've chosen your best solution, now you come and make the design of that solution. How are you going to give the design selection? And this is now where the engineer's capabilities is measured. You need to give all the design considerations and to achieve the optimum design that will be able to give the solution that you expect to be able to solve that particular problem. So as an electrical engineer and telecommunication engineer, here is where you give all the aspects of designs. For example, if you're doing a line design, here's where you select the conductors, you do the fault levels analysis, you do all the voltage drops. They should be able to be captured in this particular chapter of number 7, where is the design of the preferred solution. Then you move to number 8. This is the bills of quantities. The bill of quantities is supposed to link again with the drawings, because the drawings will actually inform what is supposed to be in the bill of quantities. And it has 6 columns. You can see the name of the item number, description of that particular material, the unit, the quantity, the unit cost, and the total cost. So you give a description of all the materials that you have used in that particular design, and then you give a description of the labor component, and then you give a description of the transport component. So those three important items are very critical. The description of the materials and the equipment that have been used to give that design, the labor component, and the transport component. And then you give the total cost of that project. Then you move to number 9, which is the cost-benefit analysis. An engineer should be able to justify that whatever choice he has made on the preferred solution should be feasible when you implement it at the end of the day. And we use some economical parameters, and these are the payback period, the return on investment, and the net present value. So you know when any project is able to pay back within 5 years, then that is a very feasible project. When you talk about positive net present value, when you find a net present value that is positive, then you are able to demonstrate that that particular project is feasible for implementation. So these parameters are used by engineers to be able to demonstrate the feasibility of the chosen solution. Then we move to number 10, which is implementation. So if an engineer has made a design and he's been able to do that implementation, then he should be able to give a description of the implementation. And here, basically, what they are looking at are the 3 constraints of the project management, where we have the budget. The project has been done within budget. We want to see that the engineer has been able to ensure specifications, that is quality, and the timelines, that the project has been achieved within the stipulated time. So those 3 constraints is what we'll be able to see in the implementation, and also give some challenges that maybe are experienced within the implementation of the project, and then how you mitigate those particular challenges. Then you move to number 11, which is just basically the conclusion. You give a conclusion as to whether you achieved your objectives of this particular project or not. And then we move to references. If you made any references when you are doing your project, you need to indicate them there. And then the appendices. These are the drawings, and we say the drawings are very critical. They should be legible, and they should be in A1. At least when you make your drawings in A1, you'll be assured of legibility. And the examiners are able to follow your design using the drawings. The drawings must be initialed. They must be authorized by your supervisor so that they become authentic. Now, the photos are also very important. These are just for evidence that you are the one who did participate in that particular project. We should be able to see those particular photos attached as color also. Other requirements for the project report, we are saying it must be less than 5 years old. Anything after 5 years does not become feasible because there are changes in technology, and therefore it will not be admissible for consideration for registration. We are saying the title should also connect to the problem statement. That was very clear. And the drawings should be approved by supervisors, and they should be in A1 form. The sizes is also, the project report should be about 2,000 to 3,000 in words. The font styles, Times Roman, size 12, and they should be justified. And we are saying that this should also be, we have 4 copies. 1 will be for the candidate, and 3 will be for the examiners during the interview. Marking scheme. And this one I normally say it every time, that passing this exam is normally very easy. The pass mark is just 50%. And you can see when you do your training and experience report, using that format that we provided, you already have your 10 marks. When you do your project report and use the format that we provided, you already have 30 points. So 30 plus 10 is already 40. So you are looking for 10. Now you go to the oral interview. Oral interview has 50 marks. And by that just appearing and smiling, if you just appear and smile to the examiners, you will get some marks. You can see how easy that thing is to become a professional engineer. So under the oral interview, your confidence is very important. How you demonstrate the content of your project will able to be evaluated, and then you are awarded marks appropriately. So the oral interview has 50 marks, and then after the oral interview, you will be sent to go and do an essay. And essay is 10 marks. This is just to be able to demonstrate to the examiners some issues that might not have been captured during the oral interview that are still very important for the engineer to become a full-fledged engineer. The pass mark is 50%, and we normally say that this is one thing that any candidate that has made the progress up to the time that he's been called for the oral interview should be able to pass this interview with flying colors. So that marks the end of my presentation, and I want to appreciate your presence here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Engineer Ohaga. So I have some questions here. Members are asking if the work is more than 3,000 words, what happens? What if your work is up to more than 3,000 words? What can it happen? It will
Thank you so much.
It will be reducted back to the range 2,000, 3,000?
Thank you, Ndolo, for that question. These are just guidelines. You remember, even at the university, you normally have some templates for the thesis. Even when you're doing your master's, when you're doing your PhD, they are just guidelines. But we are not saying that that can be used against a candidate, that you've gone beyond 3,050, and therefore that one becomes a disadvantage. If you have important information that you feel that you have to give it, you will have to give it even when it goes beyond 3,000. So that cannot be used against any candidate.
Okay, and the format is the same for IEK and EBK, just the title page changes with the emblems and the name of the institution.
Precisely. You just need to change the title page and then you're good to go. We have tried to harmonize our project report and training and experience report with the EBK one. So all the candidate will require is just to change the title page.
And should the BOQ in the report be limited to, say, electrical works, or should it cover the entire work? I think there's an electrical person is asking whether it's the whole project or just the electrical work site.
It is everything that you have covered in your design, and it is shown in the drawing that has made that particular project a success. So every bit and pieces that has been used in the design has to be captured in the BQ, because we'll just look at the drawing. For example, if you said you design this number of towers, you design this number of poles, and they are in the drawing, then they should be able to reflect on the BQ. So anything that is in the drawing should be able to transfer to the BQ.
I am working as an electrical contractor company as a building management system. Does that affect my registration in a negative way, or is it a must I should be working under in a consulting firm to qualify for professional registration?
Engineer Ndolo, I didn't get you clearly.
This guy is working as a contractor in an electrical contractor company as a building management system. So he's asking if whether that position is will hinder his work if he's not involved in design of any nature.
Okay. You know, the life of an engineer involves design, involves construction, involves operations and maintenance. So there are guys who are in construction, there are guys who are in design, and there are those who are in operations and maintenance. So if you are in construction, for that matter, an engineer would always at times find that whatever has been designed by a design engineer, during implementation, one is tempted to make some modification so that it fits the things on the ground. So as an engineer in construction industry, you could propose some modification during the implementation stage, and that bit can be used then for purposes of your registration when you are using that design to implement that came from somebody else. So even at construction level, you are still eligible for registration, but with just small contribution on what do you find, because there are several challenges that are on the ground, and many a times there are modifications, that there are changes to design that are done by those construction engineers.
So, but the format is the same for all profession, for all profile of discipline.
It is the same.
Just the naming and the title that is changes. All right, I hope John has gotten that. I think the other questions we will ask them as we continue. So for now, I would like to welcome Engineer Kahoro Washira to take over.
Thank you, Engineer Ndolo.
Welcome, Engineer. You have something to share with us?
Yes, I do. So I would request to have the rights to share, and then I will return them back kindly.
Yes, Kahoro, I will do that.
Okay.
Now you can share, and then you revert me. It looks like people are checking in and out, and they want to come back. I've seen some people who have checked out. Then I have to go and admit them back. So you can
the connection issues sometimes.
Engineer, that is just internet issue. People are having poor internet connection. So if you go out, they will end up coming back automatically without even them knowing.
Okay, that's okay then. Thank you.
So just give me a moment. I'll take you back kindly. I want to give you back your rights. I want to stand guided how I can get the rights back to you kindly.
Engineer, just highlight.
I go to participants, which I have done.
Yeah, you go to participants, and then you can see the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. There's a username under that name.
I'm looking for it. Just a minute.
If you see the icon find participant, you can just write institution, find a participant.
I have gotten it.
Yeah, when you highlight it, there's a place next to it that is written more. Yeah.
Yes.
Then you highlight that more, you click on it, and then you'll see a position for make host.
Make host.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have you received it?
Yeah, it's done.
Yes, I am on.
I need to get back to my presentation.
No, it is there.
It is there? Yes, I can see it.
You can just play it. It's fine. It's your presentation will be seen.
Okay, just let me start the slideshow. I believe we can all see it. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to do a short presentation on the roadmap to registration in 53 days. As has been presented earlier in previous presentations, we have looked at what it takes to register. Engineer Haga has mentioned some of the very critical areas in terms of the formats that are required. It is important for us to adhere to those formats. Indeed, depending on the nature of your project, whether it's a telecommunications project, building services project, if it is a power systems project, you still abide by the rules that have been indicated. There may be small changes depending on the kind of scope that you are doing. So my presentation will take about 10 minutes or so. I will give a brief introduction. Moving on, I'll also ask whether you plan to register, have also information gathering techniques and abilities. What do you require to do? And then why do we need mentorship as graduate engineers as we go through the process of registration? Then we also have to make a resolve. And then at the end, I shall provide you with a table showing each step of those 243 days, and then what is required of you and also of your mentor as you go through the process. So I thought it's important for us to look at the big picture. Where are we going? I believe all of us are going to the process of registering as professional engineers. Why are we doing so? In the needs and requirements for the professional body, we need to have the opportunity to practice as professional engineers. One of the steps is registering as professional engineers. Who needs to have this process of registering in place? It is any one of us who has met the minimum requirement of going to the University of Nairobi or University of JKUAT or any other university, whether it's in Kenya or outside the country, and have also gone through the apprenticeship training and have also practiced for a period of about 3 years. What does it entail? I believe that we shall be able to discuss as we move on. And then when do we do this? When you feel you're ready and you have a project and you also have gotten the requisite requirements, then you can be able to proceed and carry on the process of registration. So you're planning to register. What is important, one of the first items is to get the right plan. Uh, all of us are working in different sections, departments, organizations, public, private sector. So you need to understand, first of all, what are the requirements which have been described in the previous presentation, and then plan on the process and how you're going to carry out this registration process. And after that, you have to follow with instructions, the plan, which you have already been given in the previous presentation. It is also important that you also, as an engineer, be clear on the engineering problem. This is one area where we tend to have a bit of a challenge, and this is historical. With the aid and assistance of a mentor, this particular area of clearly defining the engineering problem is important. And that will be able now for you to be able to look at the solutions that you want to provide for this engineering solution, capture it and document it in good English, in good formats as has been described. And from there on, you will be able to register as a professional engineer. It is important also when you're planning to register to consider the engineering design considerations in all areas, whether it is in telecommunications, power systems, and design considerations sometimes go even outside the engineering aspects. I'll give an example. When you look at considering an engineering design for, let's say, a power line, and you're moving from point A to B, and let's say within Nairobi County, the topography is very different in Nairobi as compared to maybe a place like Murang'a or Kilifi. And you have to put those other aspects that help you provide the best solution and the best design in your documentation, because some thought has to be put into it and it has to be shown through your documentation and indeed your drawings and sketches. The other part that is important and very critical is that we should not complicate matters. There was a question raised earlier regarding if you're doing a particular project, you have to do the whole area. If you're looking at a construction project and you're given a specific area, in most cases, most projects normally have more than one person participating. And not everyone is an engineering professional, and you need to only capture the portion and part that you impact. Individual development of the documentation. And for here, I can give an example. If you are putting up, for example, if you're doing a design for a low voltage line from a substation transformer from one point to another, chances are you may not be necessarily the one preparing the engineering drawings. The designs are yours, but the drawing itself may be done by a draftsman. So you need to be cognizant of this particular individual that, yes, this is the part that he has played, but for me, my part is in the engineering design. You may also require, in another example, to have a feasibility study carried beforehand to look at the site conditions beforehand. And when you do this, you may require another subject expert, another engineer, another planner, another economist to come up with some data analytics using whatever software to be able to help you now come up now with engineering design. So as I mentioned, it is important not to complicate matters, just focus on a specific area and be able to take the panelists through that particular area through your documentation and in your presentation as you come for the interview. It is also important as you're planning to register to provide some level of feedback. And by feedback here, I'm looking at when you're working with your mentor to be able to register, he needs to be aware of what you're able to do, what you're not able to do, where are you having challenges, so that he or she can be able to assist you as you move on within your registration process. And last but not least, you have to focus on the end in mind. I'll also now talk about the information gathering. Most and indeed a good number of engineering projects require to have an idea of what is existing on site. If you're doing a building services project, for example, you will need to show the kind of challenges you have in that particular area. What is there that you're seeing that there is a requirement for a solution? there may be inadequate power supply. So in your problem statement, you could indicate lack of power supply in let's say Bondeni area, and that will be able to underscore the reason for which you're trying to get a solution or a problem. If it is a maintenance problem, you would find the kind of question or the problem that you'd want. First of all, your site conditions are that you're not having enough throughput in terms of your production in the factory, and you want to increase the capacity and then reduce the breakdown time. So you'll need to come up now with a problem statement that shows how you're going to improve the efficiency of this particular process within the factory. Then engineering feasibility studies are also critical in your project. Sometimes we can I say underestimate the feasibility studies. It is important to get some data on, for example, how much consumption is there in a particular household. If you're considering an estate and you want to improve the power requirements for a particular estate, so you'll need to go down and check how is every customer within the estate consuming his electricity, then provide solutions on how they can best use their electricity, and therein the materials that are available, the kind of new engineering techniques that are used in the design of whether it is electronics, if it is protection relays, if it is substation equipment, if it is overhead line construction. So you look at all the considerations. And this should also factor in areas or things like, for example, wildlife. And how wildlife comes in is, I'll give a classical example. When KPLC puts up power lines within national parks or where we have got natural migration sites, we normally have a different design consideration for our distribution network. You find the poles are usually a little higher, and we have to bear in mind the fact that in some areas you have giraffes. So some of those design considerations have to look at the flora, fauna, and use that as a basis for carrying out your engineering design. The other area I think that is critical is in specification preparation. In most cases, you find as you're carrying out your engineering design, what is available in the local market may not necessarily fit exactly the engineering calculations that you're given. I will cite an example. If you're putting up an 11 kV power distribution line with several distribution transformers, you may have a challenge in, for example, saline conditions if you're doing it in the coastal area. So your specification preparation will require you to consider the cross-sectional area of your aluminium conductor, because you have to account for the amount of current that needs to pass through. How long do you need to have this line in operation before the effects of saline conditions come and affect the power cables? The other thing is the insulation, that is the pin insulators. You have to consider in the event that you have saline conditions in the coast area, you need to have them a little higher in terms of meeting what is traditionally the case. So those are the things that you document and you explain why you're using particular areas that you're coming up with your engineering design. Then, as is important, is the determination of the scope. As I mentioned earlier, we should not complicate matters. Let us be as simple as possible. Then I'm going to move on now. Why do we need mentorship? I think it is important for us to have a mentor to be able to guide you in the various processes and various stages in your document preparation. I think I would also want to emphasize here that it is important to identify the right mentor, because he or she needs to, you need to be free with him or her, and also have the proximity to be able to interact, either through soft, that means internet or online, or even in a physical meeting face to face. It is also important that the mentor has the opportunity to visit site and to actually critique your engineering drawings. That is critical because if you find you have a mentor who is only signing for the sake of signing, chances are we will note that, or the panelists, the interviewing panelists will note that, and will not get very smooth ride, especially because some of the areas have not been clearly indicated or have been clearly articulated during the interview. Next point is mentorship agreement. It's important for you to have gentleman's or a ladies agreement in terms of how you're going to progress with this mentorship. And that looks at areas of how long do you need to meet, what do you need to meet on, when do you need to review the drawings or the project report. So those are things that you actually agree on, and set targets at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, the outcome would be registration as a professional engineer.
Engineer Washira, just a minute.
Almost the end.
Engineer Washira, just a minute.
I'll hold.
Engineer Matalanga, can you remove this person called Harun? I've tried warning him; he's not getting me clearly. Members are complaining they're not getting. Thank you, Engineer Washira can continue.
Do I need to recap my previous slide?
Yes, please, and please be a bit more audible.
Okay, I think there was a challenge with the other participant. So, why mentorship? One of the important things is it is important as you're preparing your registration documents to have a mentor. And this mentor, in most cases, would be in your line of expertise. So it would be important for somebody to have a mentor in their area. If you're a power systems person, get a power systems professional engineer to mentor you. And this mentor would be able to guide you through the various preparation and for the documentation, the various stages that you need to move from one step to the other as you're carrying out your engineering project, design, commissioning, and implementation. The other thing that is critical is identifying the right mentor. And this is important because you need to have to be on the same wavelength, to be agreeable in terms of the areas that you need to discuss. And also most critically is the mentor has to also have time for you. You may have, in some instances, a mentor who may not have the time for you to be able to prepare, to be able to give you the necessary tools and skills, and also to critique your information in terms of your engineering drawings. When you sit the interview, the panelists can very easily detect where a mentor has not actively mentored you through the registration process. And the panelists can actually tell very clearly when the mentor has just signed the documentation without looking at the content and also guided you. So it is important when you're identifying that you will need to have the right mentor, somebody who is also within reach, either through the internet platforms or the physical meeting, so that you can be able to get all the information that you require, and also be able to prepare very good documents, and also get to know what is important within the various projects that you're doing. The other point that is very important is the mentorship agreement. That is important because you need to agree on the ground rules. You as the mentee, you are the one who requires to have this mentor to help you through the process. And you have to agree on the scope. That means how long do you need to meet? Where do you need to meet? Can you share documents online if it is an engineering drawing, and then discuss the drawing having gone through it for some period of time. The other thing that is important is you will need to help and guide your mentor in terms of the targets. That means at the very onset, you will need to agree that you are interested in trying to prepare your documents for registration within, let's say, 4 months, within 5 months, within 2 months, depending on which stage of your engineering career you are at, and also depending on the number of projects you've been able to undertake successfully. The outcome is also, for sure, the registration process. As I am about to close my presentation, it is important for us to also have a resolve, and this resolve is personal because you may have a mentor who is really pushing you to register, but it is you who has to make the effort, you, the candidate that requires to register. So it is your resolve to identify the project for registration with guidance, of course, and also to identify the mentor, as I have mentioned earlier. It's also important to fill in the application forms. It sounds simple, but it is important for us to fill in the forms, and rightfully. There are usually challenges when it comes to filling in these forms. If you're applying to register as a corporate member within IEK, you require 2 proposers and 2 seconders. You may find a situation where your application form doesn't move ahead for the institution to be able to give you a letter asking you to present your reports, purely because one of your proposers or one of your seconders is not a full member, which means he has not paid up his annual fees, and that causes undue delays, which now brings challenges as you move on towards your process. If you're going through the Engineers Board of Kenya route, where you want to start there, you require 3 referees. It is important they are also paid up and also available, and they are professional engineers and they are paid up. So the other thing that is also important is the documentation. You need to prepare all the documentation. I want to reiterate what Engineer Ohaga mentioned about the appendices, including pictures. It's important to demonstrate what you have actually been able to do. In this place, when I do my mentorship, I normally request most of my mentees to try to also have pictures where they are also in the picture, apart from the equipment and the infrastructure. That will give a sense of, can I say, belief that indeed you participated in this project to the extent to which you are able to provide a project report. Then I will now, I think it's also important for us to use the roadmap, which I shall share in the next slide, for us to be able to now look at what we require within the number of days, and then that will be able to guide us through. So part 1 to 4, as I had mentioned earlier, it's all important for you to be registered as a graduate engineer in EBK and IEK. It is also important to fill in the forms. You may start your project report and you don't have any letter from either the Engineers Board of Kenya or the Institution of Engineers of Kenya asking you to submit your report. So it is important for us to recognize that. Then the other important thing is, as you move on within the process of registration, is to get feedback, as I mentioned, that point number 6. Point number 7 is preparation of the documents. Now, I want to mention that in this presentation that I'm giving you, when mentorship is carried out within the KPLC format, we normally provide 2 other columns to this particular roadmap on your right-hand side. It can also be 3. Maybe I'll give you the extended one where we have 3. The next column, following the target and limits or timelines, is a column showing your own timeline, which means if we are saying that you're submitting, like point number 5, you're submitting duly signed up registration forms to EBK and IEK, and we say the timeline is 1 week, on your column, you specifically put a date. So we can say a week from now, you need, let's say by maybe 22nd of April, you want to submit your forms to EBK. The reason you require that column is because you need to set yourself milestones, and you need to be specific in terms of the day, the date. And that gives you an area in which you keep on checking and seeing whether you're actually meeting the requirements for your own personal targets. And following that column, there are 2 other columns that are normally filled. One, the graduate engineer who is preparing the reports has to sign at each stage to confirm they have actually done it. And then the last column is for the supervisor, the professional engineer, to sign. And this form or this roadmap can be signed off fully at the end of the process. And it is important for you as you're preparing your documentation to attach this in your training and experience to show that you are actually mentored by a particular professional engineer. For the professional engineer, he or she requires a copy of this document, his signature, because it helps him or her apply for CPD points as part of the requirements for EBK and for you to be able to have a practicing license in the following year. Okay. So we go to now point number 8 is the preparation of the preliminary report, which is the project report. It has been very clearly described by Engineer Haga. In my mentorship sessions, I propose that you have monthly meetings or bi-weekly meetings. There are other times where you find, depending on which part of the report writing you are in, you may require to meet more frequently. There is also a requirement for you to go with your supervisor to site to be able to see whatever engineering design, if you are having the project implementation phase, to visit. So you may find you may have a visit in between, let's say 2 successive meetings. And that is important for you to note. So each case, depending on the nature of the project, will determine how many times you need to meet, and you document that. Next, point number 9, you have to review the report, which you do by discussion. I find it easy for project reports or training and experience reports to be forwarded to me on email. I have a chance to look at it, and then we have a discussion looking at page by page and areas of change or interest. Then it is also important, as we draw to the end, we need to incorporate the supervisor's comments. Then point number 11, the preparation of the final reports. You need to go through them clearly and be able to be sure that each part is clearly done, the font is correct, the grammar is correct, and then from there you just submit the document and you're good to go. Thank you very much for listening to me. If there are any Q&As, I'll be able to respond to them stage by stage. Thank you. Over to you, Ndolo.
Thank you so much, Engineer Washira. Now, there are some questions here. I will go. There's somebody's asking, do we have 2 interviews, one at IEK and one at EBK? If so, why are we having the same template?
I will respond to the extent to which I am able to. I am aware the interviews you can have an interview on either side. I think the candidate has the prerogative to choose which path they want to use in the process of registration. The interview is one, to the best of my knowledge. So, and the other thing that is important to note is that we have panelists within the IEK list of panels who are also panelists on the EBK side of the profession.
Yes.
Next question, please.
So in short, because by law you can either go directly to Engineers Board of Kenya, and by consensus agreement between IK and EBK, you can also go through IK and get professional corporate membership, and then transfer your membership for licensing.
Yes.
All right. There was a question here. This one you don't need to answer because it's asking whether you have to implement the project. Must you implement the project? No.
Not necessarily, because you may find you will have funding challenges. For example, when you're preparing your documentation, you find you have already gotten even a budget. You have also have an implementation plan on how you should proceed. But when it comes to budget approvals, you may find your project either is funded by government, or it is funded by an external agency, and funding mechanism may go beyond 1 financial year or 2 financial years. So what is important is the engineering design. You have been able to come up with all the bill of quantities, the proposed return on investment if it is implemented. Beyond that, if you have the opportunity to implement, that would be good. If you're not able to, that does not limit you from coming for the interview.
Okay. Somebody is asking this. It was asked to Engineer Haga, but I think you can answer it. Engineer Haga can chip in just in case. On the aspects of registration project within 5 years of age, is this age tied to design phase or implementation phase only?
The understanding of this question of 5 years is that it is expected for every graduate engineer to be practicing engineering in the course of his engineering career. So the 5 years looks at the engineering design. If you have implemented, we are looking at the date at which you have commissioned the project as the last kind of like date. But it is important to note that you need to be as current as possible. You also need to be cognizant of this time frame. So when you're choosing your project, give an allowable window for you to make sure that your project doesn't expire within the 5 years. Because the challenge comes in case, for example, you prepare your documentation, you present it in front of an interviewing panel, you are advised or given, you go through what you refer to as a discussion, where you are asked to make amendments or change scope or be more clear. In which case, if you take long to do the amendments, then you will find the 5-year lapsing, which becomes a challenge. And I know in most cases, when you have any panel interview, either within EBK or IEK, the question is raised during the discussion that this project already is about to lapse in terms of time. So you will be advised, depending on the panel that is interviewing you or giving you or providing the discussion, you'll be advised whether you need to go on with this, or you can also be advised to quickly make the changes and resubmit in, let's say, within a week, 2 weeks. If you find it difficult in your workplace, both institutions have the capability of writing to your employer, seeking time for you to quickly finalize your reports for resubmission. And that has been done in the past, and can also be done even with any of the projects that anyone is doing.
Okay, there is a question a bit. Engineer Ohaga, just a minute. Let me ask this because I know Engineer Shira is at KPLC, and maybe he can tackle it also because it involves solar projects. Are solar projects admissible?
Yes, they are, with a condition. What is important is when you're picking the sizing and designing of solar projects, you need to look at the electrical part of the project, because solar projects are both electrical and mechanical because of the nature of solar technology and solar energy. So you need to pick the aspects that are electrical in nature. That means sizing of your, for example, conductors, the PV cells that you require to have, the substation you need for stepping up or stepping down your voltages, the current throughput, your protection that you require. So that is the area that you need to focus on for an electrical engineering project report to be supervised or to be interviewed by an electrical panel. We have had cases, maybe just to qualify, where we have had some of our colleagues have studied mechatronics engineering, which is a combination of mechanical and electrical engineering. In most cases, it is up to the candidate to decide which area of experience he wants to get. You may find when he or she leaves the university, they go into industry, you find the area they have gotten or the job they have gotten is purely mechanical, in which case the project he expects to undertake is a mechanical one in nature. If he or she joins the electrical side, then it is expected that the kind of project they shall undertake is an electrical project.
Okay, all right, thank you, Engineer. Maybe Ohaga, you have something to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something on the time frame, the 5 years. Basically, this one is normally taken to be the design time. You can imagine an engineer having done some design 5 years. If a baby were born in 5 years, the baby would be walking and talking. If you did your design, for example, in 5 years, and there's a road that has now passed through that particular design, you realize that design might not be implementable after 5 years. So 5 years is a very long time for things to change. And therefore that normally forms that background under which 5 years being a time that so much would have happened that might not require a redesign of the same. So it's important that the design is done within and implemented within the 5 years so that you still remain current and the implementability of that particular project also become feasible. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those presentation. Engineer Bashira, thank you. And I hope members now have your contacts. They can always reach you.
I will send a chat. I'll send my contacts in the chat.
Yes, yes, please do, so that members can look at the chat, so they can also take contacts. Engineer, there's a student here, a graduate, Otula. You said you did telecommunication and then you did electrical. You upgraded to electrical engineering. So you are asking if they have to appear both. So maybe Engineer Haga, you can answer that.
Yes, we said very clearly that in your training and experience report, you got to account for every time, every minute, every second, every week, every month that you have done in your life until to date. So if you did 2 degrees, if you did one for 5 years and maybe you went back and did another one for another 2 years, you need just to indicate the time frames under which you did each one of them. That will be critical for the examiners to be able to see how you have been able to grow, even as far as your academic qualifications are concerned.
Okay, but the training report must start from O level, right?
The training and experience report starts at the undergrad, at the university.
So the O level is not included?
No, no, no.
All right. Okay, right. Thank you so much. And at this very moment, we are supposed to move to the next presenter, telecommunication report writing techniques, Engineer Andrew Masila.
Yes.
All right, everybody, this is Engineer Andrew Masila. In a few minutes, we'll be presenting. So going by the time, we have 30 minutes, Engineer. Over to you.
Okay, so thanks, Engineer Ndolo. And perhaps I'll request to be made host so that I project and then I'll return the rights.
Engineer Matalanga?
Yes, no problem. I am going to do it just now. You can go ahead, Andrew.
Yep. So hold on, let me return the rights.
Yes, okay. I've got them back. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I guess we are well set up, and I just like to take this opportunity to appreciate everyone on the call for patience so far to even go through this particular session. Indeed, it's quite interesting that it's possible that you could attend the PIP and actually get all the formats and material. And usually one part which is usually a challenge is actually getting to sit down and document the report, even in as much as you may have mentorship. This is actually usually a personal initiative. So my task today will be very simple. I'm just going to put report writing in a very simple way. And basically, whenever I have sessions, I usually like taking action and follow up after it. So at the end of this presentation, I think we are all going to commit to start the documentation. Indeed, there is a lot of talk around technology and engineering. Are they the same thing? Are they different things? So as we go through how I actually did my report, we'll come to the differences. We realize that actually anyone can use technology if they have the right instructions for use. However, engineering is a very strict discipline that can actually leverage on technology or can be on its own. So today, as we go through report writing, we are going to be uncovering some of those concepts. I know this is the part that everyone feels like it's a mystery. So today will just be to unpack it and make it be as simple as possible. Kindly, I think some
Engineer Matalanga, this remove Otula because it's continuous.
Okay. So I hope I'm audible. So today we are going to cover report writing within the telecom space, and the concepts can also be borrowed for other domains as well. So basically from the introduction is that a report basically is a summary of wealth and experience in a clear and concise way, if I can put it that. So when you think about when you in your day-to-day work, if you're working or attached somewhere, you usually keep a log of what you do on a day-to-day basis. And that log is very critical because it is what you'll come and summarize in the report. Now, for the reports, there are two kinds of reports. One is the training and experience report, which is just a summary of all the work done from the time you started your journey from undergraduate to your current job role and what you're doing. And basically, this is just a summary to capture the months and duration, the organization as was presented in the template. So actually, if you've been doing the work, it should be fairly simple, and your starting point should be a log of what you do on a day-to-day basis. Organize it into a functional space that can tell the various durations of work. Then after that, there is the project report, and basically the rule of thumb is pick an aspect within your training and experience and elaborate on it. That should be the easiest way to do, because you may not start writing about a project which you didn't highlight in your training and experience. So when you look at it, they are interconnected in a way. And of course, in the project report, like was stated, it's good to be very clear in terms of the scope and be very specific. At times within the project report, from some of the candidates I've got, is that people detail perhaps a procedure they do in their workplace rather than actually detailing the exact engineering input that was put to deliver the solution. And that's where the difference comes in. And that's where there are issues like we use this technology. So behind the technology, there is a problem that is being solved by an engineer using engineering principles. So for the training and experience reports, I think Engineer Ohaga covered this very well, but I've put a sample. And the key for this report is to leave no gaps. So ensure that if you started in 2010, your university education, or 2006, whichever year it is, between that period and now, you should account for every time that you've actually been practicing engineering, including times that you didn't have a job and you are seeking for a job. And usually you find that these times, especially when you come to documentation, it might be difficult to say that you're just seeking for a job. Again, during this time, you might have taken time to do some research. And if you have evidence, now those are the things that can be documented in that period. Then after training, what usually happens is that, of course, most people get jobs, those who are blessed enough to get jobs. So the moment you actually get into a working environment, even if you're employed to actually deliver a certain task, then that period can actually account for the period where you are trained, the 24-month period, which needs to be continuous. So before you start working, you need at least to be exposed. So that period is actually the training period. Then that is part one, which is a summary table. And then as a summary of part one, you can see this particular summary. The summary talks about the university education. Then the practical training is actually 24 months. It could be more. Then in my case, I started in maintenance and operations, moved on to design, contract management, and you can see the rule of greater than 10 months. Because in a work setting, and especially an engineering setting, you need some time to actually catch up to the work environment and to be able to deliver. And currently doing consultancy within the field. So you can see that this summary is actually takes the way this report was prepared and puts it in one table. And part two now, part two, just look at it as simply a detailing of what is in part one. So you pick each raw item and elaborate on it. For instance, during the engineering course, I got to attend 3 practical attachments at Kenya Power, Siemens, and Nokia Kenya. At Kenya Power, I was in the transmission department that was responsible for the design and maintenance of the transmission networks from the main station to substations. And if you actually delivered a project, you can also highlight it there. So that is clear and concise. So I think from just that run through, so I use this, I'll come to my actual my actual reports, but I usually use this to show that the training and experience should be simple. In fact, from this discussion, I think we should use the weekend, all of us, to document it, because it should reflect what you've done and nothing else. And actually, if it's you who's done it, it should be simple enough to actually document it. Then within there, we were told about photos, very critical. So you, whichever site you're working, even if you are controlling things from your computer, just take a photo for evidence. It is good to actually show evidence, because remember, the panel is not with you on your day-to-day work. Perhaps the chance they'll have to interact with you is when they are reviewing your report just a few hours before you come in for the interview. So it's important to actually give as much clear and relevant detail as possible. Also, relevant certificates can be attached to the same. Then from there, we come to the project report, which I think is what most people in this call have never started, and they'll urge us to start. And I think one thing with the project report and all these reports is that once you start, it's not something you'll sit and do in one night, like most of us were used to doing perhaps in campus. You read for Calculus 4 the night before. This is a bit different. You have to sort of give it a start, and you might have, within your work experience, you might have a wealth of experience. So you might have many projects. And that's where the mentor comes in to help you to focus on the right scope, so that you can be able to deliver it in the less than 2,500 words recommended. Usually words go beyond the recommended if it's not clear what the project is about. So that is a space whereby you can actually look at what you put in your training and experience and actually pick one section that now you'll go into more detail. So when you look at training and experience and the project report, it's actually one and the same thing, and they feed into each other. So basically the project report, the basis, it should be based on the actual work that you're doing. So it should, your work experience, so it's good. A good recommendation is pick an area in your training and experience report and basically go into more detail in it. And it makes it easy even for the panel, because they saw this thing in the training and experience report and you're consistently talking about it. And then for the topic, as was said, choose a topic that identifies the solution and scope being addressed concisely in adequate wording. Again, from the topic chosen, it's easy to tell whether you're actually addressing a problem or telling a story. So there's a clear difference in that. And actually,
yes.
Okay, let me proceed. And then for the format, of course, we've been given the format.
Yes, but you I think you must have tried without your name. What does the... Yeah, exactly, because we cannot admit people who are not on the list.
Kindly.
Okay.
Yes, so it, yeah.
Engineer Matalanga.
So
mute
okay,
yourself.
So I will proceed the format to adhere to the format, and the wording in total about 2,000 to 2,500 words for the whole report. Now, one thing that happens in the report is that you try to derive even equations from first principles. The report is basically to report what you did and how you used an engineering approach. So if you're more clear and concise, it's easy to fit in within the words. Then the last part is the most critical in the report writing. And remember, perhaps one challenge with most fields within the technical area and also engineering is telling stories. Basically, it's touted that engineers don't know how to tell stories. However, it's not that they do not know how to tell stories. It is that they tell stories in an engineering way. And that is what is expected in the report. And basically, one of the things that will help you to minimize your words and having to explain many things is one, using of tables. And we'll go into that. Number two is using of equations, using of facts and figures from verifiable sources. And basically, the last rule of thumb is do not verbalize anything that can be summarized into the three above. So you don't need to tell a big story in something that can actually fit in a table, an equation, and a fact. So in terms of report writing, this would be the format of the table. I know it looks a bit complex, but basically it's the format. So I'll quickly jump to the next slide. It's a busy slide, but I'll quickly run through this. So when you look at the introduction, it's basically to give a background of the project. Around 2 or 3 paragraphs should be enough for this. So within here, that is the point whereby you actually start to focus on the problem and what solutions could exist for it. For the problem statement, exactly, it's a statement, and preferably one statement. For the purpose of the report, perhaps you might have experience of several years or few years and might have done many things. However, the report is not to measure everything you've done. It's just to pick a concept out of the many things that you've done and to be able to demonstrate that you applied engineering principles and you are practicing engineering on a day-to-day basis. Then the objectives from the problem statement is certain objectives to be addressed by the problem you've stated. And then usually for problems, there are either 2 or more solutions. And actually, this is now, of course, the engineering is applied in identifying the problem. However, now this is where the engineering aspect also comes in, being able to identify the trade-offs. In some cases, you may not actually implement the best solution technically. However, you should be able to show that you took a trade-off based on cost, based on the solution design, based on impact to the community, and basically put all those in a summary that shows you actually employed certain trade-offs in coming up with the solution. So, and actually, if you've done many things, pick out the one that demonstrates this the best. It's only fair because in some cases you may pick something that narrows you to perhaps one solution only. So from your vast experience, pick one thing, and that is where the mentor comes in to be able to shape your thinking. And now you come to the preferred solution, which is out of the possible solutions, which one actually are you going to design? So another challenge that comes in the report is that some candidates start writing the design in the introduction or under the objectives or problem statement. So the design should actually has not even come at this stage. They're just saying this is the problem and these are the possible solutions. And then from there, you can go into now an in-depth analysis of the current state. This is where now you can actually have more of the diagrams, tables, figures. So ideally at this point of the report, verbalizing too many things might actually move out of the context of the report. So at this point now, it is good now to delve deeper into the expression as an engineer using tables, facts, and figures. And basically it's to analyze what is there and then In the design again, for design, the engineer use calculations, tables, figures. Now, this is a conflict where you can say, I chose a certain software. Now, when we go through the report, you'll understand that the choice of the software, now when you link that to how you did the preferred solution and the possible solutions, then you find there could be a drift in actually linking the two. So the design of the solution is the engineering background. So even if a software was the solution, there were some engineering considerations put in place to even decide you actually need that software. And that's where the difference comes in, because any other profession, an accountant can use the same software, assuming it's something like an Oracle database or a Hadoop cluster. Anyone can actually go and Google and say, we need this solution. However, there is the engineering mindset that can actually come to the need of the particular software. And that's where the difference comes in with technologies and engineering. Then from design, basically is a bill of quantities. A bill of quantities, whether it was some software licenses or some hardware which was procured, or depending on the nature of the project, or perhaps it was a radio frequency spectrum which was acquired to deliver the solution. In this case, maybe based on what has been happening on platforms like this, it could be a cybersecurity solution. So all those are admissible at those points to clarify on bill of quantities. And then there's a cost-benefit analysis. And usually when there are problems, there's a cost to fix the problem, and there's what the problem averts, and there's also value gained from the problem. So we'll also touch on that. And then on the implementation, basically this is not storytelling. You can put it in a project schedule like a Gantt chart, or just a simple table showing how the implementation was done. And then the conclusion is a summary of the report. So basically, I think the key message here is there's this format, and there are the do's and don'ts. However, it is as simple as this. Actually, you can even pick this and just start putting content into it as you try and visualize how your report could be. So the key thing with the reports is you have to start. That's the trick. In fact, after this PAP session, what I think helps, from the PAP session I attended, I immediately went and started documenting what I understood from the PAP session, and also engaging my mentor, because you find that from this session, you'll have the energy and zeal to do it. And if you wait for the weekend, things will catch up with you. So you need to actually start on it now. So you can see a sample of the implementation table and the photo evidence again. So before I go into the summary, I hope you're still seeing my screen. I'd want to go through what I put down as my project. Okay. So we'll quickly run through this. You can see there was the format which was there. Okay, so you can see the table. The university education is there. And then this is the 24-month period. And this period I was out of the country, some within the country. So you can see there are no gaps actually. And when you move down, you can see all the promotions I've had, and the change of role and organization, all the way to the current time. And you can see from the summary is basically what we are talking about. You get to summarize everything. Then when you come to the detailed report, basically you pick each row and elaborate on it. Just pick the key highlights of each section. So you can see as the experience grows richer, the amount of, the length of the paragraphs actually keep growing, and also illustrate all the trainings that you've undertook. If you've done a Master of Science or a Master of an MBA, you should be able to illustrate it. Oh, I've seen someone scribbling on the screen. Are we okay, Engineer Ndolo? Okay, I'll proceed. And then from basically from here now, I picked one of them, and I'll show you which one. So I picked this line to be my training and experience report. You can see. So I will go straight into the training and experience, the project report. So you can see it's project report on signaling optimization control system. Already you can see there is a problem with signaling, and the solution is to optimize it. So it's as straightforward as that. And then from here,
now I'm in the meeting.
this is the table of contents.
No problem.
And you can see I actually leveraged on figures. You can see the figures, and basically even before reading the report, you can see figure 1 tells you signaling call flow before optimization. Number 2, signaling call flow after optimization. So basically it means I don't need to verbalize this. You can already start seeing what the solution is. Then tables, a list of many tables were actually used for the project. And then, of course, there's the abbreviations depending on the industry. So put all the abbreviations and what they mean. If some need a bit more explaining, you can also do that. So from the introduction, so mine was actually 2 paragraphs. It was quite a while. So it's just to state a scan of the environment, what are the issues and what is the problem. And then after that, now you come and state the problem, and then just give a hint of what the solution could be. So the problem statement is exactly that: inadequate signaling capacity on the network driven by high signaling demand from smartphones. The objectives were 3. And then analysis of possible solutions. There are 2 possible solutions. One was chosen because now you can see the format as we discussed. The preferred solutions, comparatively, it is cheaper by 40%. And why is it cheap? Also illustrate why it's cheap. It's simpler to implement in terms of simplicity, provides best customer experience, and it had an additional cost. However, when we come to the ROI, we'll see the justification for the cost. So in terms of now analyzing the current solution, the leverage was more on diagrams. You can see there's this diagram. And as was explained, actually this diagram was printed out on a full engineering drawing paper for the presentation and for clarity. And you can see now for the problem statement, it's very simple to talk about all the interfaces, all the software used. However, there's the engineering behind, and that is what was being projected. You can see there's an equation just showing what is to come in the table. And maybe just to share a story, before doing the table and equations, this particular part was actually about 4 pages. So 4 pages was summarized into 1 page by using tables and calculations. Maybe I won't go into details of the exact, but you can see the problem statement. Now, that made easy when it came to designing the solution. First is the new architecture from the call flow, and then using the same calculations and tables to basically show what the design is actually solving. And it's also good to have a quick summary after all the calculations. So impact of the design is it reduced load from 3,000 to 3 signaling events. Signaling demand drops from X to Y, and then projected signaling demand in terms of projections drops from that to that, and then there's additional headroom created. So this alone, without many words, already gives you a picture of what is to be done. Then this is the floor plan for the design, and the architecture diagram is there. So, and then for the bill of quantities, it's actually this, a table showing what needs to be done, of course, including if there are travel, staff accommodation, and the rest. And there was one item as per the design, just to elaborate a bit more on it, the power requirements for the board, and then the cost benefit analysis. So there was an additional cost. So in stating the solution increases session requirements, However, it reduces the signaling by this. So the cost of implementing was, for the purposes of the discussion, 90 million Kenya shillings per year. So when you come to payback period, is the cost of implementing. So the payback could not be realized in 1 year, but was realized after several years. So at the point of paying, the project paying back for itself was 1.48 years. And also when you look at it, an ROI of a fixed time period, it's 36%. Then from there, how was it implemented? So this is a simple project plan. It can be a Gantt chart or a table just showing what was done, the sequence of events, and the considerations. Then, of course, there's a conclusion, and this is also useful. In case there is more work that could be done, you can also cite it there, and you can also give basically a summary of the whole report. References are good to show where you got some material, whether it was from your network management system or your reporting dashboard. It's good to cite those ones here. And then, of course, you can see photos. This is evidence of me working. After the work was completed, the cables were very neat and returned. So I'll go back to my presentation. I'm about to be done. So in summary, I think after going through that, I hope it sounds that the report is doable and you can start now. So the do's is just be clear and direct. You can see from my report, it was very clear and plain. Use facts, figures, tables, and equations to substitute words as much as possible. It helps. Also be honest and present your work, exactly what you did, and dedicate ample time each week, a continuous time block. Don't be ambiguous and go off topic, trying to derive equations from first principles. Just state your work and the engineering application. Use words, also don't use words to describe things that can be drawn, put in a table or an equation. Also don't refer to something you did not do. That creates a very long discussion, especially at the panel, where you try to justify what you said you did and you did not do. Just present your work. Also don't procrastinate. Actually start now. The time to start is now. So thank you very much. I'm done with my presentation.
Thank you so much, Engineer Masila. And at this moment, I can take 2 questions from the audience. Before audience, anybody comes in, somebody was asking, is this really an electrical engineering project? And my writing here is saying something else. Engineer Masila, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, somebody is asking, just by the way, is this categorized as electrical engineering project? Because according to me, I wrote in the chat that electrical engineering is wide. So this is just telecommunication part of it. So maybe you have something to say?
Yeah, so it falls under the telecommunications domain. And actually, when you look at it, it's within the engineering domain. So the electrical domain has been and this is just one of the branches of electrical engineering. However, let me just also, because I know there are mechanical engineers and others, the key thing is application of engineering principles within your discipline. Usually, you'll find that when you try to box yourself into one, you might actually go beyond 1 or 2 disciplines. However, that's why the report needs to be very clear to capture a particular scope and discipline. So that is the long and short for that.
All right, thank you. Yep. Participants in the house, do you have anybody with a question that would like to voice it openly? You can raise your hand. Maybe I can see you, then we see what to do.
Ndolo, there are comments in the chat. Maybe you can read that.
Which one is specifically?
Gideon Saina asking whether it's easy to get a PE supervisor.
Yeah. That's. I think Engineer Masila can tackle that because if he's a telecommunication guy,
yep,
then he can either look for you or Engineer Wanjala. That okay?
Yeah, correct. And actually, that's where it's important to also attend the PAP, because this is where you get to meet the registered engineers. So from here, actually, we can start the relationship with you in terms of mentorship, but feel free to select from any of the panel. And as was stated by the president, in case perhaps what you're doing does not fall under what any locally available engineer can do, we can also support you to fund abroad to get some sort of mentorship on that as well.
I think the question is tackled. And does a mentor have to be from your own company?
So yeah, this was answered. Doesn't have to be from your own company, but it's important that you have a working relationship and a rapport with them so that it's considered a fruitful relationship. Hello?
Yes. A question in 30 seconds?
Sorry, I didn't get you. Was there a question?
There is a question from Oindi. His mic is on. He should be asking. Oindi?
Okay.
Okay. I'm from building services.
Yes.
In the project design perspective, your building services actually contains electrical. We have access control, CCTV, and the other services. Do we concentrate on one aspect or all of them?
So okay, so it's good. Like I said, you could have a wealth of experience. However, the report is not looking to actually, especially the project report, does not look at all aspects. You can actually pick one of them and actually elaborate on it in terms of the report. So be very specific. When you try to go to all the fields, you can find that it becomes very wide and you'll not be able to capture it in the report. So, and that's where now the mentor comes in. So maybe in your case, you may need a session or two with a mentor to see exactly what you're describing, and then to help you to come to a point where you can decide this is the scope I need to focus on.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I think then now you mute your mic, please. All right. Then there is a question here. Maybe Engineer Haga will also come on board and answer it. Projects executed abroad, can they be used for application? The answer was yes. I think even in the PIP previous sessions were there, but Engineer Haga can expound on it. Then there is a question again from somebody here before I allow Engineer Masila to leave. Just a minute, I'm missing that question. Engineer, what of those of us who offer campus stated, or what of those who after, sorry, what of those of us who after campus started companies instead of employment, or mostly went to implement the available work? How do one proceed with that? Does one proceed with that? Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
I think the first question was on the projects that have been executed abroad.
Yes.
I think you have answered that question very perfectly well. That's acceptable, provided the project has been supervised by professional engineers who is recognized by EBK, and that one, if we have mutual agreement with those countries. And I even stated that there are people, there's a candidate in Seychelles who is being supervised by professional engineers right from Kenya here. Provided that professional engineers has had time to visit that site and he understands that the site exists and he has given guidance on that particular graduate engineer, then that will be admissible for registration back in the country.
Okay, and the second part of the people who went to start companies?
Are they entrepreneurs or are they implement? I didn't get that one very clearly.
The question, yeah, I think it's Darius is saying, what of those of us who after campus went direct to started companies instead of employment? Mostly we get to implement the available work. Most probably the company is on maintenance and repairs or something, or implementing works on behalf of other companies.
We still believe, and we did state very clearly, that even in maintenance and operation, there are avenues for registration. Every day there will always be something that an engineer wants to improve on, even the way works are done. So any bit that you take as an engineer, even if you have that company that is doing operations and maintenance, that you think that there exists a problem in maybe efficiency, maybe quality of doing that work, and you want to improve on that, and you are at the implementation stage, you can be able to come up with a solution to that existing problem and then have that for your registration.
All right, in the question box, in the chat box, more questions can come. Right now, I would like to welcome Engineer Wekesa.
Okay. So thanks. Sorry, I had dropped off, but I'm back. Yeah, can accept more questions on the inbox.
Yes, please continue. There are some questions still on the inbox. You can look at them. Engineer Wekesa, now it's your time.
Hello.
Hello, engineer. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine.
All right. We are now on your presentation. Maybe
yes.
you can, because for the purpose of time, we can try to rush. Then we will answer all questions at the end of the session.
You can make me host, or you can just share from wherever I am.
Engineer Matalanga, are you there?
Yes, yes. No, I will make you host just now. No problem. It is who? Eric who?
Wanjala.
Eric Wanjala. Okay.
Engineer Eric W.
Yeah. Now you can. You are host, Eric.
Yes.
Although people are complaining about the 6 p.m. stop, so don't know how are we going to manage it.
That's Engineer Wanjala. Maybe his presentation will be short, and then we will go direct towards questions. And I think members should also bear with us that we had a bombing, a cyber bomb, so we lost some 30 minutes. So maybe they can bear with us.
Okay. Am I visible? Is the projection on?
You're not sharing yet.
You need to share your screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Jamlek, Maina, can you mute your mics?
And then Engineer Wanjala, after you do that, you will hand over the hosting to me, although there is no one in the waiting room at the moment. Dolo, do you want to take over? Because I think there is no one in the waiting room, but probably they keep dropping out.
Has it been shared?
Yes, now you can continue.
I can continue.
No, you need to hand over the hosting to me before you continue.
This is Engineer Kahoro. As Engineer Wanjala prepares, I wanted to make a comment for those who need to travel. The Zoom conference has got a hands-free position where you can actually listen to the presentation as you travel home. So it could be an alternative for those who need to leave their office to get home. Thank you.
Yeah, you can use your head. If you are going to be in traffic, you can also use your headphones. If you're presenting, you can talk freely.
Yes, but I think Engineer Dolo, I can hand over the hosting to you after he's given it back to me, because I will also need to leave.
You will be traveling.
Yes, because
just
I'm
a
at the
quick
office.
on it. Is it going through?
What is it? But engineer, if you are leaving the place, you don't need to, your computer is going to be on?
Yes, I can leave it on.
Okay, don't turn it off then.
Yes.
Just let it, because you are recording. I will not start recording.
Oh, no, yes, yeah, I'm recording, yes, yes. But what is your timeline for finishing? If we go beyond 6, what time do you see us finishing?
Maximum, remember, if Engineer Wanjala can will present in a shortest time possible, then we can finish everything by 6:30 possible.
Okay, let us try 6:15 because of the people traveling. Right. Okay, thank you. Right. Then I will stay on, no problem.
All right.
Can I proceed?
Yes, please. Yes.
Oh, okay.
But engineer, you haven't turned over the hosting rights to Engineer Matalanga, just in case members are popping in the waiting room.
Yes, please. How do I go about it?
Can you help him, Donna?
Engineer, just highlight Institution of Engineers handler.
Just a minute.
Stop playing the slide. Yeah, stop playing the presentation.
Okay.
Just go to the participant list. Click on the participant list. No. You should have continued sharing your screen. Just share your screen first.
I share the screen.
Share the document. All right. Before you start the slide, now go to the participants and then highlight the institutions handler. You are able to see the participants list, right?
Okay, this one that is coming in on the right.
Yes, and now just find institutions of engineers. That's the handler Engineer Matalanga is using.
Okay, let me just scroll through very fast.
Engineer Angela, if you want to see it, you can expand the screen to fill the whole dialog box to fill the whole screen. Then you shall see the institution of engineers.
Actually, you can see it. You just need to type there, find a participant, just need to type the name. And on Engineer Matalanga's side, there is a reclaim host status. I don't know why how he didn't see that button. You found it?
Wait, I had found for just a minute. Yes, I found it.
Yeah. Now on the when you highlight the name, there is a button written more. Just you don't need to click on it. Just highlight it. Just pass the cursor and highlight it. You should be able to see more.
I don't know why it's not picking.
You just proceed without the transferring host.
Okay.
In the interest of time.
All right.
Okay. I've moved. Is it gone?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. It is done. Thank you.
Okay. So I can proceed. It's visible.
Yes, we are seeing it. Please proceed.
Okay, now I don't have an engineering solution for managing short time, but I'll just manage it now, probably artistically a little bit. I'm sorry for the short time. Now, for purposes of the telecommunication engineering, for the engineers who are interested in this field, it is the most vibrant, if I'll have just to say, and there are many areas to it which will also be engaging in more and more sessions of this nature. But for purposes of this meeting, I will not go to the background information, which is in the second slide that I've already gone over. I'm just starting off at the telecommunication application areas, where currently we have probably as from the right of the screen, we got wireline. These are just the telecommunication, mediums that are used in place. We got wireline, we got wireless, and then we have the services which now run on either of the two. And under wireline, predominantly right now, we got the fiber optics, we got the copper solutions, which are still in use. Then we got the enrichments on the copper, plus any other technology that has to do with a waveguide. Then we have the wireless, where we got the microwave communication platforms, we got the satellites, we got the mobile networks, we got the other upcoming solutions, the Wi-Fi, the Li-Fi, and all those. And then now among the services, which have just a tip, broadband internet access being one of them. The other specific ones are like the telemedicine or the telehealth. We got it in aviation, we got it in military, we got it in hospitality, we got it all over the place. But for the interest of time, I will go straight to the second slide, which is just a generic telecommunication network. And when you look at the network, you'll find that from the engineer's perspective, the signal or the communication starts from a source and it ends at a destination. Then within the black box, which is now the telecommunication system itself, we have got these specific functions which are contained in specific equipment. With the advent of technology, most of what is being projected here, most of it is finite. It's not the discrete components we can interact with. Some of them are microchips, nanotechnologies. So just for purposes of illustration, this is how probably a telecommunication system can be modeled in a block way. But now for purposes of what is the objective of today, which is about registration, I'll go to the next slide, whereby a bit of what you have just seen is captured in this kind of, pictorials, regardless of where the source of the information is coming from. Some of these are holistic in the way they appear. Some of them have other components, like for the satellite, you'll have the Earth segment, then you'll have the space segment, and then to the other remote site, then you have another Earth segment. For the microwave, you'll have 2 repeaters or 2 endpoints, then you have a line of sight. For fiber, you'll have an optical source, then you'll go to the other side, you'll get a receiver, but the optical source is connecting to an electrical signal input, and on the other side, the same thing repeats itself. Then you'll have for the GSM network, the interaction between our mobile sets and the nearest interface point, the BTS-based transceiver stations. Now, for purposes of this discussion today, I'm sorry, I have to go very fast and make it in a nutshell. Engineers can get opportunities to register in the following 3 transformational places. One is in problem solution, the other one is in new projects, and the other one is in any change that might come as a result of technology, or it might come as a result of an inherent environmental issue from where the system exists. Now, problem solution. Problem solution can come, for example, if I'll have just to pick probably the mobile communication or the mobile service providers. They might be having a network in an area, then all of a sudden there is an increased population in the area, or there is an increased demand of services because of a certain equipment that has been brought on board, a hospital that has been brought on board, a university, or anything that has been brought on board that has suddenly brought in a huge demand in terms of traffic or capacity. Then the existing system, it might be a microwave system which cannot handle the new demand. So this becomes a problem, capacity becomes a problem. It can be 2 microwave endpoints where a building suddenly is brought in between. or where suddenly vegetation crops in between, or where suddenly pressure or weather patterns swing one antenna from the line of sight of the other, then it becomes either an intermittent link, a degraded link, or a complete loss of signal or loss of communication status. Now, these are different types of problems engineers can get when they are working. Now, these are the opportunities we are talking about. Now, any of these solutions can be approached from a maintenance point of view. It can come up from the business side. It can come up as a customer request, or it can even just be like for those who have mobile phones and you are in a place where the signal has never given you the interest of business or interest of quality of assurance, then you raise it to the telecom service provider as a complaint. That is already an area now an engineer in a mobile company or in a telco company has gotten an opportunity to work around it as a project. So without going into much details, a problem can arise and the engineers, it's about data collection, data analysis. Now use the engineering background or the no solution that is
Engineer Angela, if you're using your mic, I think your sound is breaking. Whether your mic is poorly connected, your headset.
Wondering whether I'm the only one not hearing him.
I think his headset and the microphone is poorly connected. Engineer Angela?
It's actually network issues.
Who is talking?
That's an engineer in telecommunication.
It can be the microphone, engineer, also, because it started breaking before the network came in. And since I'm not hosting, I can't see how his network is.
He seems to be, then his network seems okay, because he's still on. He's still there, I can see him clearly, but he has stopped sharing the screen.
And that is now the network, he went off. He's there, Engineer Angela is there. I don't think it's the network, I think it's his microphone.
He's muted. Can someone unmute him?
No.
Engineer Matlanga, I think his mic is muted.
Okay, but he can also unmute himself. I'm not seeing him quickly.
Engineer, just type, just find at the find participant, you can just type.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, he's on.
Yeah.
He's on, and yeah.
Yes, okay, I'm sorry.
Are you presenting in the engineer?
Yes, am I back or no?
You are back
with
with us.
Hear you, but I think your screen sharing is gone.
Oh, okay, don't worry. Essential services, we found ourselves doing something. So we have to make sure. Okay, let me see if I can share it again.
I don't know whether you can share because we already. I'm already the host.
Oh, okay. Now, can I just finish probably by...
Engineer Ndolo, sorry, Ndolo, can we take a risk and allow people to share? Because we are trying to avoid because of the problem we had.
Just put it back to me then.
Yeah, okay, so I give you the hosting.
Yeah, then I will try to see what to do with it.
Exactly.
So that we are fast.
Yeah.
But if now Sasa, now will.
So you are host, Engineer Ndolo? Ndolo, you are host now, so you manage everyone so that we can finish at 6:15.
All right. Now, everybody, for the purpose of time, Engineer, can you get me, Engineer Manjala?
Yes, I can get you.
All right. Now, please share what you want to share.
Okay.
And then give me back my hosting sessions, my hosting rights. Yes. Can you do that?
Yes, I've just shared now. Let me get you the rights.
You can't do it?
No, I've seen. I've gotten it. Let me see if I can get you. Okay, I've made you host.
All right, continue then. Engineer, can we now rush the time because people are writing to me so that we rush it off. Thank you.
We had discussed about. I had mentioned about the problem solution and then the new project area, then the upgrade, and probably issues to do with the data collection, which informs the problem technology solution. Those ones are predominantly from the operation and maintenance area because it will be having a history. Then there will be a justification, as had been mentioned earlier by my colleagues, including the business or the finance justifications. Then for the new project, this one is just probably arising from the business area or the risk reports, where engineers can get information that they can easily use to justify starting of a new project. Then I know it will go through the other procedures as the other engineers had mentioned, and then a solution will be provided. Then the other salient areas which probably we need to just to have on record probably are that in the advent of technology, for example, a new technology comes about, which is not part of the new project area or part of the operation and maintenance area, then engineers find themselves in a way whereby they have to adopt this technology probably for purposes of improving on efficiency or service, delivery, like probably the current mode of presentations we are using right now, which is like has arisen probably because of the circumstances prevailing beyond most of the controls. So basically, I will not go into any of the other details. I have had to cut it short in the interest of time. Probably the questions that might be there, one or two, I may have to address them before I pull off. Otherwise, if it is okay, for another session, I think then the questions can be piled up for a later response.
Members are populating the question in the chat room, so we will be able to share them with the secretariat, and then they can be shared later on for you to put your input where necessary. Thank you so much, Engineer, for that.
Okay.
You can stop your screen. All right, thank you, everybody. And right at this very moment, I would like to bring Engineer Linda. Linda? I would also like to remind participants that I have shared some slides from 2015 and I think when I sneaked in some PIP meeting. Don't take me to court, members, please. I sneaked in. I didn't pay. Linda, you are at the institution. You're using the handler. Just a minute.
Sorry,
Hello.
Dolo, Linda's presentation will be by Engineer Christine, and she said she has sent you the presentation. She's ready to start.
She
on your
sent
email.
me
Can you share it?
She sent me the presentation to my email.
Yeah, just now she's saying that so that you can let her start. Engineer Christine.
Let her know. She's calling me, so just a minute. Let me check my email. Unless she's no, she doesn't. I don't have it in my email. Unless she wants me to present what she presented 2015.
No, I don't think so.
2015, I sneaked in somewhere there. In a meeting that was there, I didn't pay. Which handler? She's calling me. I can't see her handler, Diana.
Look at Christine or Good. Let me try to find her. She's called Christine O'Good. She's there.
I found her. Yes, okay. Engineer. Let her know that she is now a host. Yes, engineer.
Christine, can you hear us?
Yes, please. You are now on.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm going to make my presentation,
yeah,
which I have sent to your email, and I would like you to load on communication skills.
You sent to my email at what time today?
I have just sent, because initially I'd sent it to Linda, so that Linda would load. And unfortunately, Linda, I'm told, has left the office.
Now, in my email, I can't see your email.
Dolo at Gmail. Dolo.
But you can.
Anthony Dolo at Gmail.
You can share yourself because you are a host. Briefly, you can share your screen yourself and then hand over the hosting to Dolo as soon as you finish.
All right, the email has just arrived. And
okay, that's okay. So, Engineer Christine, can you make Ndolo the host so that you don't lock us out of this?
How do I make him the host? How do I do that?
On the top of the screen, if you go to participants.
Yes, I'm on participants.
Find participant. Type there Ndolo.
On the search, I type Ndolo.
Yeah, to type Ndolo, then you will see Ndolo comes there.
Ndolo. Yeah, it has come.
Then you click on him.
I've clicked on him.
Then you go there, you will see on the right something says more.
Then?
More, something says more.
Make host.
Yeah, make host, yeah, make him host.
I'm just make host. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I've made him host.
That's okay. Thank you. So you can continue.
Okay. So is he now? Has he posted my presentation?
Engineer, you can just start presenting and posting it. Just start talking. Introduce yourself, please, for members.
My name is Engineer Christine Adongo Gut, an ordinary council member, and I work as a Deputy Director, Safety Audits and Inspections at NTSA. Now, my presentation today, this evening, is on communication skills for the professional interview. So an overview, we will have an introduction. What are the goals of communication? What is the importance of the communication skills? Preparing for interviews, the interview experience, ways to improve communication skills, questions to expect and ask, and then the conclusion. So really, the professional interview and your communication skills, this is what will make you go through the interview successfully. So what is a professional interview about? It is a meeting with an objective. The panelist wants to find out what is the most competent person for this career as a professional engineer. They want to know your life story. And what is your life story? Are you a hands-on engineer? Are you office-based engineer who thinks critically or delegates? What is your grasp of engineering principles? How do you solve skills? And all this, you'll talk about them in your communication skills. So the other thing they'll be looking at is what is your capability to accept professional responsibility? What is your ability to communicate? And all this is generally, as you talk, tell them what it is you're able to offer. How does this fit into your career plans? And of course, because you're being invited for the first interview, when you've put in your part 1 and part 2, it means that you're halfway through the process and you should actually be able to do what? To communicate effectively. So what are the goals of the communication? So as you go into the interview, you really need to know what is it you want to tell these people. You want to inform them about yourself. You want to be able to motivate them. You want to gain the panelists' attention. And again, it is your life story. You want to give them information. You want to be able to explain. But all these explanations are actually based on your engineering experience, and they're looking at how competent you are. So what is the importance of communication? In our day-to-day life, 75% of the time we spend is through communication. Either you're writing, reading, speaking, or listening. And in this case, the most important communication between you and the panelists is, first of all, what you have written, your part 1 and your part 2, because that determines whether or not you go through the interview. So communication is actually the oxygen without which you cannot survive. So this communication starts at the university. It doesn't start now that you have graduated. No. The communication should actually start at the university, so that you know that once you graduate and you go out in the field there, then you begin preparing your professional papers. The importance I've listed there, you will be able to get my presentation in terms of self-confidence development. You must speak and convince the panelists that you know your engineering content. And depending on how you communicate with them during the interview, they will respect you. It is also about your marketing skills. You're selling your competency to that panel of engineers, who are normally 3, so that they are convinced that you are the material they're looking for. So it's really about you. In terms of self-confidence, you must be able to speak in front of the panelists. So when you get into the interview session, they're going to ask you to tell them about yourself. So if you're telling them about yourself, you must be able to articulate who you are. In terms of effective written skills, again, that will be in the content of what you have written in your part 1 and your part 2. In terms of planning skills, again, this talks about confidence, is how is your document structured? So in terms of leadership, and again, 50% of engineering projects fail because they're purely due to ineffective people. And so you'll find that your leadership skills also come out during communication. How about business ethics? Besides analytical and problem-solving skills,
Engineer Good? Engineer Good? Yes, Engineer Good. Hello, Engineer. How do you call me and then you're on mute again?
Okay, let me try call her and see what's up.
She called me and now she's on me. I'm on call hold. Anyway, she was talking about business ethics. Now the business ethics.
Thank you, I am back.
All right, continue then. Oh my gosh. Hello, Engineer Good. Are you there, Engineer Good?
I think, Dolo, we need to move because it's now 20 past 6. So we'll
All right, I will move this thing.
Yeah.
Now, she was talking about communication skills and the importance of communication. It also gives the bottom line about your communication, business ethics. At the same time, the key preparation is the key to success. So you have to prepare properly for your interview. These slides will be shared later. So she also gives tips on how to avoid stress. That only a fool will tell you that the sitting in the professional interview is stressful, and it will take even a bigger fool to tell you that interviews will not produce stress. After all, you are in a similar unfamiliar setting, meeting strangers, risking your ego, and about to embark on a conversation that can affect the rest of your life. So you have to know that interviews are stressful, but you have to compose yourself. There's some tips on how to what to do before an interview, and then during the professional interview itself, what we are supposed to do. The interview is given that last roughly 15 minutes. You're told to appear on time, keep time, and follow the procedures of the interview. Dress codes are also very important. Overall, the interview is oral, so you have to clarify certain points that are stated in your report. Give the details. Your answer should be clear and seek clarification where necessary. If you don't understand the question, be positive. Take time to respond. Be alert on the interviewer's body language. Speak clearly, smile, and show some enthusiasm. Interview questions, examples are given there. Leadership skills, teamwork skills, problem-solving skills, planning skills. These are all going to be tested. Common pitfalls, what you should not do. They are there on the screen. Body language is very important. You need to look at that. Positive non-verbal language, what you should do during an interview. They are there. Non-negative, non-verbal communication, they are there. Quality panelists seek, what they are seeking is also very clear. Good all-round intelligence, enthusiasm, commitment, and motivation. Good communication skills. Teamwork ability to solve problems, capacity to work hard, initiative and self-reliance, balanced personality. Attributes to the engineers. Some of the attributes that are attributed to an engineer are also given in the list. The competencies required, very clear. Some of these competencies are clearly stipulated in Engineers Act and Engineers Regulations. The ABCs of professional interview. Always be aware of the crash and burn. So those are simple ABC rules that you need to look at. What is required of that? Those are the about importance of communication is repeated. Written interview, essay title is determined by your presentation during the oral. So it's very important for you to get to know that maybe you can be given an essay and the title is determined by the presentation from your presentation during the oral. Essay preparation, what is required for essay preparation is given. After the interview, what follows after the interview? This is very important. You can review on your own past performance, invitation to write an essay, rejection letter or an email. So you take note of that. Tips to improve your communication skills are also given by Engineer Good. So the evaluation that was already shared by Engineer Haga is also given again there. So the marking scheme is clear. Pass mark is 50%. So maybe members will look at that. Yeah, marking scheme score, the way it's done. Mock interviews can also help you to prepare. Probing questions during the mock interview can really help you. Otherwise, I think the conclusion, the communication skill is very important. And just to add on what you did in your university level, so maybe you can apply those skills as well, and always be able to ask your mentor in case you need clarification, and so that you also you can also learn from your mentor has undergone through several interviews, so your mentor will be able to guide you on some of the skills that you might need. All right. At this moment, I think we are supposed to continue with the Engineer Munene. Is Engineer Munene here? Engineer Munene?
At one time he was in the waiting room. Did you just check?
I have checked, he is not there. Just a point of note, these slides, they are already on Telegram, the group Telegram. I have the slide, the exact slide from Engineer Good from 2015 PIP that was held at Serena Hotel. So members can also take it. Engineer Munene is here, so I will unmute him. Engineer Munene, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, please. It's your time. Maybe you can highlight your...
Yeah, good evening.
How many minutes are you giving him, Dolo? Because we are already 6:26.
Engineer, I think I'll give you 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes. I think I'll take 5 minutes. I'll be very brief, and I'll just share a small slide. Am I able to share? Engineer Ndolo?
Send it to Ndolo on email. If you have his email address, it will be faster.
Or you can just share it with me here from the chat room. You can share a file there.
Okay, I'll share in the chat room shortly.
I hope members are not really inconvenient. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to block.
You know, we were 8, we were 8, and now we are 56. So everyone is leaving.
People should just understand. I really tried. I saw the thing coming on. I really tried to block us, but they bombed. They came so many. I couldn't handle it anymore. That's why I ended the meeting abruptly.
Taking a bit of time to share in the chat room.
Just you can just attach a file and it should be.
I'm trying to attach that.
So the Ignatius and the others, kindly check Telegram. These things are posted from 2015. PIP sessions. Some of them are there, some of them are from 2018, but the one mostly are from 2015, where I attended the Serena one.
You had a PIP at Serena Ndolo. You are doing well.
Oh, was it Serena? Not Serena. This hotel. You know, I'm not a Nairobi guy much. I'm born and raised in Malindi. Born in Nairobi, but raised in Malindi.
Silver Springs, maybe.
It's Silver Springs, somewhere behind Kenyatta, also the other side.
Yeah, Nairobi Hospital.
Yes. Umetuma? Found
Yes,
it.
you have the chat.
Just in a minute.
Yes, yeah, Engineers Code of Ethics. Yes, we can see it. You should have said that. This is on our website.
Yeah.
You guys make me even speak Russian with you people. Okay. Now it's opening. All right. So anyway, but we cannot, engineers, Silver Spring is still expensive for people. People had to cough 18,000. All right. Code of Ethics.
Thank you. Am I able to go through it?
I will you will prompt me.
Okay, because I wanted to move very fast. So second slide, that slide. So basically what I wanted to say is just to tell the engineers the basis of the Code of Ethics is based on the Engineers Act of 2011. So basis is section 7 subsection 1, where one of the functions of the EBK is to develop, regulate the Code of Ethics of Engineering, and to develop the code formed on this basis for the framework for responsible professional practice as prescribed in the standard. So those are the code is based on those tenets of truth, honesty, and trustworthiness. Move on. And of course, the code applies to all the engineer, to all those people applied in the Engineers Act of 2011. So the Code of Ethics, those are the descriptions. Those are things that you have checked in the dictionaries. We can move on. Morals, and so on and so forth. Then we can go to the fundamental principles of the Code of Ethics. That's a description for the Code of Ethics, which has been developed by the board. And of course, it has principles. We have 3 principles, basically, which are described in the Code of Ethics that we find in clause 3. And the 3 principles are clearly stipulated for the engineers to use their knowledge and skill in enhancement of human welfare, being honest and impartial, and of course, increasing competency. Then we can go to the canons. Then of course, we have 7 canons, which the engineers shall. And maybe here for the engineers shall is must. The first one, of course, is very critical: paramount safety, competency, issuance of public statements, faithfulness, reputation, upholding honor, and continuous professional development, and provide opportunities for the same engineers, just like we are doing now. Then we can move on to the summary of basically what the code is about. Let's move on, engineer. So the summary of this Code of Ethics, it looks at the relationship of an engineer with the society, with the employer, his personal conduct, his cooperation and development. So that is what summarizes the Code of Ethics. And basically, when you go further and look at what you need to do for the society, you can move on. So for the society, again, we come back to what we had in the canon, that is protecting safety, issues of approving engineering documents, its association with the fraudulent activities, truthfulness, opinions founded on competency, and avoiding wastage of resources. Proceed. Those are the responsibilities of the engineer to the society. Then we come to the obligation to the client, again, which is stipulated. And of course, here we have issues like disclosure of conflict of interest, and engaging in more than one party, and of course soliciting or not accepting financial valuables from contractors, and not revealing data facts to the to other clients. Still on obligation to the client, we especially for the public service engineers. For the public service engineers, you shall not participate in decisions with regard to professional services, improper solicitation of professional employment, and of course, the engineers whose professional advice is not accepted. They should do all that they can so that they can inform the employer what dangers are there, and of course, endeavor to understand reasonable steps, inform their clients on issues of society and environmental consequences. Then when it comes to, you can proceed on, when it comes to the engineers' personal conduct, one of them is integrity, that is admitting error, which is incorporated in the Code of Ethics, or 7. And then the next one, under personal conduct, we have, you can move on. Seeking opportunities, and the second one is conflict of interest. On conflict of interest, here the engineers shall not be influenced in their professional duties by conflicting interest, and shall not accept financial considerations and also commission and allowances, especially from contractors. So, and also the other relationship, we can move on, is cooperation, development, and advancement for engineers. Also, this is in the Code of Ethics. So it is an obligation for the engineer to encourage also employees to improve their education, attend and presentation of papers at professional and technical society meetings, and of course to become registered at the earliest possible. So those are the 4 areas of the Code of Ethics. And finally, it is important also to understand that failure to observe the Code of Ethics, there are breach and penalties which go by the Act. Again, that is still in the Code of Ethics, since the Code of Ethics is a shall, and therefore they are actually in case
mandatory.
of breach of the Code of Ethics. I think I've tried to be as brief as possible.
Thank you so much, Engineer, for that brief session. And I think it is in order that we will share this with the members. All right. Engineer Kaoru Washira, are you there? Resolution and way forward?
I think Kaoro's proposal is that we skip the 2 sessions. We need to find a way of finishing this because of time.
All right. Engineer Lucy, if she's there, she can say anything? Just close.
Lucy is on the road, so I don't think she'll be able to close. So we need to agree.
All right. I think the way forward, we can always agree that the way forward right now, members have been introduced to engineers, both in the broader perspective of electrical engineering. So if you are interested in, you are in the energy sector, Kenya Power, KenGen, and other areas, you can always get in touch with Engineer Kaoru Washira. Engineer Wahaga can always be a good help also. But if you are in light current telecommunication side, Engineer Wanjala and Engineer Masila have already shared their details. So you can always reach them, because there's a problem on how to get proper projects on telecommunications. So maybe right now that you are there, we can now get in touch with Engineer Masila and Engineer Wanjala, who have already shared their contact details, and you can reach them easily. That is a way forward, and it should work right now for all electrical engineers, because the numbers at EBK is wanting, and we have to improve the numbers going forward. So at this moment, I would like to welcome Engineer Lucy, maybe so that she can give us closing remarks.
Hello, have you unmuted me?
Oh, yes.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Kabisa.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. I must say it was an informative session, I believe. for especially the people looking forward to register. Maybe what I would like to reiterate is having looked at the templates and the content, it's not rocket science, and it's just for everybody to decide and start. Like Engineer David Masila said, just start now after this PIP. Just pick that format, start feeding in the content, and prepare your reports. One thing that we need to reiterate is when you become registered as a professional engineer, you're actually assuming full responsibility for the things that you execute as per that code of conduct that has just been elaborated by Engineer Munene. So when you get registered, you're taking full responsibility as an engineer that if a building collapses or if a telecoms project you commissioned failed, that you can actually take full legal responsibility, technical responsibility, and everything around the human welfare, because you've had one of the aims as engineers is to make life better for everyone. Our designs are about existence and life, so we need to be responsible. So my call to everyone is start preparing your reports. And the other one, just apart from the technical side, is we want to call upon everyone to come and join the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, because it's your association for welfare, to push for the good of the engineer and also to push our voice as one big voice for policy influencing and even for the opportunities growth for the engineers. So as people keep asking, why should I register? Why should I join IEK? It's for the greater impact. It's also for the impact on mentoring the upcoming generations, the future generations. And as one big voice, as opposed to individuals, we can have a bigger impact in the country. And together we are stronger. So I'm calling upon everyone, even as you register as a graduate engineer, be a member, be active, contribute, don't just criticize positively, and also give solutions and ideas that we are ready to implement. That's it from me, and thank you all for being patient.
Thank you, everybody. At this moment, I will hand over to Engineer Matalanga. Hello. I thank Diana for standing by always. Engineer Matalanga?
He's muted.
He is the host now.
Oh.
He can unmute himself.
Yeah, he's the host. Engineer Matalanga. And I think in next sessions, if possible, engineer, we can organize short sessions, because 4 hours sitting is not really interesting for many people. They will end up leaving. So we can organize short sessions. Like we have a whole program for electrical engineers. We could have started and doing maybe the first 2 sessions, and then later on we continue with one as we continue, because the code of ethics, the communication skills, they always have to come even for the other areas of professionals, like mechanical, electric, civil, and even agricultural. So we can minimize them.
Maybe in future we can consider health breaks in between in our program. And you know, in a normal day, I think this is a 2-day or 1-day affair. So this today was our webinar trial. So the lessons learned and anything picked from the piloting, from the digital security to avoid being hacked, from how we manage the logistics of admitting people, everything. Those are lessons that have been picked.
Yeah, so the most important thing is try to make sure that every time they are sharing the meeting ID, make sure that the ID number, even if it is the same, but the password must be changed. The password must be changed for that particular session, because once you open it, when you share it with people, some people might share it online with other members who can maybe post it elsewhere, and it becomes dangerous for us. So always try to generate new password and try to make password a bit unique, not easy ones, so that we are safe. In that way, the most important thing is these sessions, let's do them next time we are making a session like this. let's have them short for the because we are in the houses right now, but maybe in the future we might not have the time for sitting for 4 hours. So we can.
Yeah, they could be in bits.
Yeah, we can like have a program like this, say every day evening at this particular time. So we have that 4 or 5 phases, and then it will be much more productive.
True.
And members, everybody will be in the chat room so that we don't run away as we have done today. Otherwise,
I've seen one question.